right, cool. Welcome to this week's Trends in Inclusive Capital. I've got Will Breen here, who actually is behind the scenes on a lot of the content we produce through Next Matters Most. What's up, Will?
Hey, how's it going?
All right, so you'll see more of Will throughout time, but today, so thematically, when we're talking about trends in inclusive capital, a lot of times, or primarily, we're looking in the venture capital space, and we're looking at investments and investing into women and people of color, underrepresented founders. That's been our pretty much our definition of inclusivity for the purpose of wanting to see progress in that space. Today, I'm just going to jump into the news and like kind of take a different tact, a reframe, if you will, of inclusivity, and that's going to be talking about Robinhood and talking about GameStop. So that's Wall Street versus Main Street. That's sort of like the little guy trying to get in and be on the level playing field as big hedge funds. And it's like going crazy and it's working. And so when I wanted to have this conversation earlier in the week, it was like, wow, look at what's happening. And then Robinhood like stepped in and started to freeze trading. And now Robinhood is the villain now too. It's just going crazy. And it's a really interesting, well, this is going to be a dialogue and a conversation for a long, long time, but you're young, you're investing, you're using Robinhood and you're following this. I guess, tell me, what's going through your mind right now?
Yeah, for sure. So it's definitely been, an interesting process since the beginning of the week when ultimately I started hearing more noise around it. I know it's been going on for a while, but since the beginning of the week is when I heard about it. And I definitely I just putting it out there, I stayed away from all of it. I didn't jump into GameStop or anything. I understand where people are coming from, but after Robinhood pulled stocks yesterday, it was almost like a kick in the face because you built up this platform to be super inclusive, like you were saying, for anybody to trade at any time so that they could learn about investing and invest somewhat freely into anything that they wanted. And then it was just like hey, you're not allowed to invest in this because you're messing around. And it was like which side are you going to play, basically, is
Yep.
is my first thoughts when I heard it yesterday.
And so when you're, kind of early in your career and early into making money, you feel pretty invincible, but maybe not. I don't know if you have fears or not.
Mhm.
Specifically, when I'm thinking about on the other side of like on the venture space, it's hard to get into venture deals. It's hard to get into the funds. There's a lot of gates, right? And meaning one of the gates is being an accredited investor, which means like, oh, you have enough money that you could lose it, or that having a certain amount makes you smarter about your money. I mean, how do you feel about that? Are you happy that like you're protected away from these deals that might be risky, or do you feel like I wish I had more, like autonomy and could do with my money as I please?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. I'm personally on the side of, if people wanted to invest their money into GameStop not knowing anything about it, then that's on them, right? And that's personally why I stayed away. I'm not the type of person where it's like I need to keep every dollar under super lock and key, obviously, because I'm actively investing in other aspects. But when it comes to, if people want to invest in businesses like GameStop and AMC, right? When I go to invest, I look at the company as a whole. So where is this company going in the future? Therefore, it's a smart investment. If people think, hey, if GameStop is just going to magically, bounce up and AMC is just going to bounce up, then they should have the option to invest into that. I didn't think it was the right decision, regardless of what was going on in social media, and that's why I didn't pull the plug into GameStop specifically. But yeah, I definitely think if people want to put their money into it and they understand that it's an investment, so you could lose or gain either way, then that's their choice
Yeah.
ultimately.
And so, yeah. So thinking about Robinhood, I mean, do you
Mhm.
feel like, how is your feeling about being an investor changed like pre Robinhood to post Robinhood? Has it been materially different and liberating, or is it sort of just another app?
Yeah, for me, it was when I got on it, it was like, okay, this is really cool that they have a platform that allows people to trade relatively quickly. And then once they did what they did yesterday, it turned into okay, this is, just another app. It's just another company that's going to control their users regardless of what's going on. And so that was a little, for lack of better terms, disheartening. And I completely understand why people are upset and why they're boycotting Robinhood, deleting the app, deleting their accounts, and moving to platforms. Because it's like, you can't do that. You can't say, we have this open network where you can invest in anything you want except for this because you're messing around, basically. And then they, I don't know if you saw the emails that they sent out yesterday, but they basically sent out saying, we're doing this to protect you from bad investments. And it's like, how are people, at the end of the day, how are people going to learn if it's a bad investment if they didn't make it in the first place? And if it's the first time, I personally feel, and I could be completely wrong about this, but I think a decent amount of people created Robinhood accounts to invest in GameStop and then were not able to. So it's like you have both of those things competing with each other. The people that were already active saying, hey, I want to invest in this, I'm going to do whatever with my money. And then people that were riding, I guess, the hype train, right? Saying, hey, GameStop's on fire right now, I need to get in. So.
Yep. I mean, I love the movement. What was your trading activity like prior to Robinhood, and what is it like now? Has the volume gone up? Have you been making more money? Have you seen any big swings or losses? I mean, tell me, like, what's for your sort of demographic, what young, new in your career, what was your trading behavior like before? Like, I went into the, Charles Schwab office and
Yeah.
felt weird, and now it's like I'm totally wide open, or is it somewhere in between? I guess tell me about kind of your trajectory or your sort of evolution as an investor.
Yeah, for sure. So mine personally, it really started with I we all hear about the stock market, right? And we all hear like that's the way to go in investing. And I think there's plenty of ways that you can go with investing. It's not just the stock market necessarily. Um, but I'm of the mindset that I like to have my money in many different places. So after I'd done a bit of research on investing, the fundamentals, I ironically did just open a Robinhood account. It was like, hey, I'll play around with it. And I grabbed, some small stocks and realized, okay, this went down the next day or this went up the next day. And it was, $5, $10, something like that. And after I had a good base understanding of what the process was moving forward, I put where my portfolio stands is more in long-term holds where it's like I bought it pre-COVID, like before COVID had started, when the market was down and more volatile to a certain extent than it is now, and I'm just holding those till a rainy day basically, or until it becomes the time where I need to sell them. So that's
Good.
where my portfolio stands now. I don't know if that answers
Yeah,
your
yeah. So you were I mean, I'm not sure if this is really a leapfrog technology,
yeah.
but I mean, you leapfrog the old system and now you're into the Robinhood and you're like an active trader doing your own research. Do you feel I mean, I know the answer, but do you feel like, why would they shut it down? Right. I mean, can you put yourself in the shoes of someone who's like, oh, something's okay. First of all, actually, let me put you on the spot.
Okay.
Tell me why GameStop stock was just blowing up.
Yeah. So I'm sure you've heard, and everybody else has heard about the whole Reddit situation
Yep.
with GameStop. I was not involved in the Reddit. I didn't take the time to read about it to a certain extent. I saw that it was blowing up. I saw that they were doing sort of the hedge fund thing. And I'm not the best in terms of those specific terms, but I know that they were trying to, for a lack of better terms, manipulate the market to say, hey, let's have this stock go crazy. But um,
Yep.
I really think at the end of the day, just real quick, I think at the end of the day, it really proves that social media can have a major impact on anything. It's not just hey, we're just going to communicate about it. It's like people
Yep.
actually go and do it.
Yeah. And I mean, can you, like, what about the people who are like, oh, I see this happening. I open it up. I'm just going to fund my account. And I bought GameStop. And then you were the one that bought it at 500 when it peaked yesterday. And then immediately it's 200.
Yeah.
Like, what about those people? Is that just like, damn, what are your feelings? I mean, because obviously we're saying everyone has autonomy and has sort of like free will. So you're welcome to lose money and that's the risk you take. But like, is that a good risk that the powers that be should allow, or is it just like that stinks for those people? What's your kind of opinion on that? And do you know anyone, or has that
Mhm.
happened to you in some of these trading situations?
I don't know anybody personally, and I think that that question could be answered both ways, right? Like, hey, the people that are just riding the wave, for example, should be protected because they might not know as much. But I think that there is a certain level of understanding. When you make a Robinhood account, it very explicitly tells you we are not responsible for any loss of profits. You are solely responsible for your investments, positive or negative. And so I think you go into that with that understanding. So if you bought GameStop yesterday at 500 and you're trying to sell it today at 200, it's, that's the risk that you went in buying at 500 with the
Yeah,
expectation that it was going to be at 6 the next day, for example. Um,
that's right.
so
Yeah.
I see both sides, but ultimately I think with any investing at all, even if it's within a business, and I'm sure you can attest to this and add more to it, things can go positive or negative, but at the end of the day, it's an investment. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
That's right. And I'm kind of I'm trying to see the other side, which is like, why
Mhm.
would you regulate this? Why would you, shut down Robinhood? And the only way I can see is like, well, they don't want these people to just get smoked who are just like, I know nothing. I'm coming in, I'm just buying, and I just happen to kind of accidentally like put in my life savings at 500 when it's going to just go crash. Like most of the market does not behave that way. But wait, we're in a new market, we're in a new trend. It can behave that way. And but like look, but when you then actually look at what's happening, I mean, these are sophisticated moves, right? They looked at the company, they said it's undervalued. They see this downward pricing pressure by large Wall Street hedge funds trying to push it down and make money. And they know that, hey, I'm sophisticated enough to know that if I squeeze them, they have to start buying shares to cover their short positions. And now while
Yep.
they buy, all of a sudden demand keeps going up. So I'm going to not only going to like pull one off on Wall Street, but I'm going to make money in the process. And it's a company that I like. I mean, look at the companies they're doing: GameStop, video games, gaming. That's fun. That's a
Mhm.
hobby. It's a passion. AMC, movies. We all love the movies. They're not just like, we haven't seen, I mean, we haven't seen the day of like, just let's pump something up on social media that's any old thing. Well, actually, I'm
Right.
sure that's happening, but like pump and dump, right? This is like sort of a battle of wills. It's a battle of philosophies. It sounds like you are on the side of, everyone should be able to like control their own destiny. And if we all sort of share our knowledge in a Reddit forum and we act together, like I don't see anything wrong with that. Now, only time will tell, and I don't think we're necessarily going to be the judge and jury on that one. I will share like one story and then we'll break. I had a broker. I was in like, I feel like I was like in high school or college, and I had like a $5,000 CD from like great aunt so and so when I was born. I was born in the '80s. Like interest rates were so high, so that CD like panned out. It was like worth like 15 grand. I was putting some money in because I was saving from college jobs, and like I had an old school broker, so like my parents' broker, and the stock was like, but we looked at stocks, right? It was like
Mhm.
mutual funds were
Mhm.
kind of like whatever, they had fees. So it's like, let's pick a good basket of stocks. And I had JDS Uniphase, and I think I also had Qualcomm. Now Qualcomm might have still whatever.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers tanked. They just went down. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, it's dollar cost average in. I feel like I had it at like $90. I dollar cost averages again at 60, dollar cost average at 40, and then it was like $10, and it never moved. And I don't think they're actually even a business to this day. So like, even
Wow.
with real professional advice, your money is at risk. You're not just going to get your 8 to 11%, average year on year growth. Money is actually made in small windows, and then the rest is sort of just like indifferent. So anyway, that meaning pre Robinhood, you can
Yeah.
still watch your account go down, and even with the right advice and all that. So, all right, well, thanks for
Definitely.
sharing your perspective today, Will.
One.
And yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead,
Oh
go.
yeah, yeah. One thing I did want to mention though is that on top of all this, the Reddit and the people that were after it, they definitely had wanted to make a statement that hey, the market can be manipulated. People are doing this, and I think that the people that said hey, I don't care if I lose money, I'm for the movement of saying the statement of that. I think that that's totally fair and justified. But at the end of the day, just like we've been talking about, you have to accept those losses or gains. And I think if anything comes out of this, it's definitely the statement. It's the statement that people made of saying, hey, we know that this is happening in other areas and we're just going to go and do it to prove the point. And I think they definitely proved the point.
That's a great closing. And I think, we could take a step back and like do some deep thinking on this, and maybe
Mhm.
realize that this happens in many different forms and fashions and different movements. And you either, yeah, you take the risk and you can get hurt, either financially or, physically in some cases, and of movements or, protesting or whatever. But if no one acts or the collective people don't act, then you are actually defaulting all decision making to the existing power structure. So
Yeah.
not to get all like, revolutionary, but if you don't do anything, like what has been happening will continue to happen. And so like there's a greater reward sometimes than just the most immediate risk that you see. In this case, like
Mhm.
my portfolio might go down. So anyways, great perspective. Thanks for joining us, and I'm sure we'll see you again here soon.
Yeah, thank you.